You know what? You can complain about the Trump administration, but at least they tried new things. I was looking at the Biden people trying to pick their people, and
Right.
they're going to pick this Ram Emanuel guy. I don't know
Uh,
how to say his name.
yeah.
You know, the Chicago mayor.
Yeah.
So they picked the leader from one of the worst cities in America,
I know.
and he made it worse with murders. The schools are horrible. The economic situation there is disaster.
Totally.
Yet, and even the Chicago voters kicked him out. And what does the Biden campaign do? They pick him up to be part of his cabinet. Are
Yeah.
you completely insane? I
And
mean,
see, they're
you know,
not completely insane. This
yeah,
is all by design.
yeah, it's like, okay, I'm the worst person for the job. Hey, go work for the government.
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
What have you
Yeah.
done?
And
Well,
it's always the same guys. This guy Rahm
it has
Emanuel's been around since Clinton.
exactly. It's the same guys. They don't do anything new. It's like,
I
yeah,
know.
Trump didn't pick everybody exact, but what he did was he fired them. If they
Hmm.
didn't do a good job,
Right.
he got rid of them. He says, okay, you're not a good fit here. You're out of here. You know? And
Yeah.
they said, oh, he's got a merry-go-round of people coming in and out. I go, well, they're the top people, so it's like you need to be a good manager. You don't need to know anything about
Right.
underneath.
Right.
So you need to be a really good manager. And he kind of got it.
Right.
So it's like, okay, if you don't do a good job, I'll just get another manager who's a lot better.
Right.
You know?
I mean, he
And
did this all day long with his own, you know, businesses.
yeah.
That's what
It
you
is
have to
funny.
do. I mean, if they're not pulling their weight,
Yeah, you
yeah.
get rid of him. You don't hang around for years. It's like, okay, we'll take this guy because he has experience. No, he's the
Right.
worst person for the job. Oh, by the way, there is no fraud for the elections because the New York Times called each state, and each state said there's no fraud. So the New
Yeah.
York Times said there is no fraud in the election. So that's in-depth
That's
journalism
comforting.
if I
Yeah.
ever heard it.
Yeah.
It's like me calling. Hey, is everything okay? Yeah, it's okay. Okay, click.
Yeah.
It's like that's like the worst ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The media is just that's the, Trump is right. I mean, that's a huge problem that we have in this country is that the media is just completely in the tank.
Yeah.
We don't have an objective media. We don't have an objective media that's on the people's side.
It's like what I said. It's like Russia has Pravda, China has the People's Daily, and
Right.
the Democrats have the CNN.
Well, not just CNN, the
Well,
whole
you know what I meant.
everybody.
Yeah, I know. You know what I meant.
Yeah.
It's like no matter what, I'm listening to these glowing reports of Joe Biden going to come in and save the nation. From what?
From what?
Yeah,
What is the guy? Everything he said that Biden has been hypercritical of Trump on COVID.
Yeah.
Everything that Biden said he's going to do
Yeah.
with COVID is exactly what Trump has done.
Except pay 25 times as much for the cure.
Yeah.
Because Pfizer held it up for a week thinking, okay, we can make $1 billion under Trump, right? Because he's going to grind us in the price. Or we can make $25 billion when Biden gets in there. So
Right.
what did they do? And these people go, no, that's a conspiracy theory. I mean, you think of a business, right? Trump's been grinding down these prescription people for 4 years, right?
Mhm.
So they know they have to make their shareholders happy. So if they can make that much more money with an idiot in charge, they're going to hold up the results for a week. And that's
Right.
all that it took.
Right. Right.
It's everyone say, oh, it's just timing. We all knew after the election, Biden showed promise that this COVID thing would start petering out. We
Right.
all knew that. And now it's happening. Then there's, oh, that's just a conspiracy theory. No, we all knew.
Well, no,
it was
they're
gonna
trying to
happen.
bring it back. I
Yeah.
mean, New York and Boston over here, just last weekend we started a 10 o'clock curfew for all restaurants,
Yeah.
and a statewide mask mandate. You have to wear your mask in public everywhere in the state. New York is now doing the same thing. New Jersey is doing the same thing. California is going to be doing the same thing because they're mad.
Yeah.
And
temperature. Yeah, like my son, he's at Penn State, and he cannot go outside his dorm room without a mask. I mean, if
I know.
you're walking around campus, you need to have a mask on. He
Yeah.
comes home this Saturday and he goes, "Oh, thank God,"
yeah,
because he's
thank God he's coming home to California.
Yeah, but it's way better than being on campus for a
I mean,
college.
that's true. Yeah.
Because literally he cannot go out of his dorm room without a mask on.
I know.
I mean, it's that bad.
I know.
I mean,
I pick kids up from the colleges all the time, and they're the ones that I really feel bad for, because
yeah,
you're supposed to, in college, you're supposed to be flirting and socializing. It's your last social, interaction before you hit the big bad world.
well, you're supposed to be trying to look and learn and teach new things. You're
Right.
supposed to try to go beyond the grasp of what you've known before. I
Right.
thought that was the whole, never being to college, of course.
Yeah.
I thought that was the whole point of college, to push the boundaries.
No.
But they're not. They're yanking them back with a fucking yoke.
Yeah.
It's like, Jesus.
Again, they're indoctrination camps. I mean,
Yeah.
these kids that are coming out of college are, they're not good at critical thinking. I mean, we're seeing this in spades, because these college kids that are like rioting all over the place, and that's who they are, is, if somebody dares question their beliefs, they need to not just be debated. No, in fact, they're not interested in a debate at all. They need to be put down like dogs, and they fancy themselves as the resistance, which is hearkening back to the French resistance and the Dutch resistance of World War II. The problem is they don't even know about World War II. Like, they don't know what caused it. They don't know how it ended. They don't know what the battles were, the significance of the battles. We just had Veterans Day yesterday. They don't know what veterans do, And also another thing, Trump first Republican to not drag us into a stupid war. And
fact check.
Yeah,
maybe that's not true. Fact check.
Yeah.
Like, I hate when people say that.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, in your opinion.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's easy enough to fact check as, what wars has he gotten us into? I mean, he's been pulling everybody out. Because he is a nationalist. See, the word nationalist, white nationalist, they like to call people white nationalists.
Yeah.
A nationalist is just somebody that thinks they're, our country first.
Their country is awesome.
Which it is. I mean, the U.S. is awesome.
The Pfizer vaccine. Oh, we're going to make 25 billion, but the U.S. will only get like a certain amount. I go, what are you, crazy? It's our company. Give us all of it first.
But it isn't. It isn't. I mean, it's like Silicon Valley. None of these guys that run any of these businesses in Silicon Valley, these globalist business, none of them are patriots. They identify more with the elite in Australia and China and England and France and Germany than they do with the working class people in this country. They feel like if you take a Silicon Valley executive, they don't like their Uber driver. They may be polite to them and everything, but they think less of them. And that's the thing that's happened in this country that's really, one of the things that's really bothered me is the founders did not want there to be an aristocracy. That the old thing that anybody could grow up to become president was a real thing to them. They didn't want bloodlines and power, powerful families and all this stuff. But the Silicon Valley crowd, the Wall Street crowd, they've formed this new aristocracy. They honestly believe that they are above the little people.
And you look at the people that work there, right? They're such snobs. They're like, oh, we're saving the nation. I go, no. You're stealing everyone's data, manipulating everything, but saying you're doing the right thing.
Yes.
These people are saying, Google can't take government contracts because we're too good for that. I go, you're not. You're stealing everything. Yeah, we know you're doing
That's why they're not taking the government contracts. They don't want the government in their underwear.
Yeah.
Because they know their underwear is filthy.
Doing. Yeah, it's horrible. I was reading, I'm on this rabbit hole with Lester Bangs, this music critic. Because I saw him in Almost Famous, and he was played by, that guy that died. He played, you know who I mean.
No.
The guy in Almost Famous. He played Lester Bangs. He played Capote in the movie Capote.
Oh, yeah, Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Yeah, Philip Seymour. And I thought he was interesting. So I buy this book on Lester Bangs, right? Turned out Lester Bangs is a complete dirtbag.
Yeah.
Drugs,
shocking,
weed, alcohol, and everything. But he started
like Philip Seymour Hoffman, by the way.
Exactly. He probably died the same way. Remember, Lester Bangs died from 3 prescription drug overdoses.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he started here in California. Then he moved to Detroit to work for Cream magazine. Cream
Yeah.
magazine was that rock and roll magazine in
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
70s. And he was describing how they were in Detroit, right? And then they had to move out of Detroit in the late 60s because of all the black gang violence. I mean, black gangs used to come in their offices with guns and demand stuff, right?
Right.
So they moved outside of Detroit with the white flight. And the same thing's happening in Portland. And I don't see why they can't get this. I go, dudes, look at what you're doing to Portland and Seattle. The same thing, you're going to wind up exactly like Detroit, where it's just going to be a shell and a husk of what it was.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't see how people go, oh, this is going to be great. It's worked out before, so we're going to do the exact same thing.
Right.
See, that's what drives me completely
They don't
insane.
care. It's like the NBA. The NBA's viewership went down 70% this year, and the American people didn't even know there was a World Series happening. Like, does anybody know who won the World Series? I mean, obviously some people. Yeah, you do because of where you live.
Here.
Yeah, but like I didn't even know there was one.
Yeah,
I remember driving around like about 3 weeks ago because I'm a Red Sox fan. The Red Sox did terrible, but I remember driving around and I'm thinking, are they still playing baseball? It's October. Like this is and
the Dodgers were in the World Series out here, and I didn't know they were playing until they were in the fourth or fifth game. I thought it was already over.
But here's the thing with like the NBA, and this is why I hate globalism. They don't care. Yeah. They need the China market. They don't care. I've made this analogy why I hate globalism so much. The Levi's analogy. When we were growing up, it was you could only get Levi's in the U.S.
They lasted forever.
And they lasted forever. But people from Europe when they came over here to travel, they'd buy extra suitcases and buy Levi's and bring them home, And it was like sort of like, the national pants of America. Every kid in that we went to high school with had a Levi's tag on their back pocket. Every kid. But now with the advances,
the poor kids had Wrangler.
They had Wrangler, yeah.
Okay.
Or Tough Skids.
Yeah.
But now that the market is the planet Earth with advanced shipping technology and obviously internet sales and all this stuff, Levi's doesn't give a shit about the American market.
They make them cheaper. My belt loops always come disconnected.
Yeah. So if you as an American go, Levi's are shitty now, Levi's is like, fuck you. We'll sell them to Indonesia. You don't want to buy them. We got 7 billion people that we can target. What do we care about the lousy 350 million people that are complaining about our product because the quality is terrible? Over in, South Africa, they don't care. They're just pants to them,
They'll buy them.
And that's what it is. I mean, that's the problem that I have with globalism
think of the lifetime of your Levi's when you were a kid, right?
Oh, yeah.
You bought a brand new pair. They sucked because you had to break them in, right?
Yeah.
And then you broke them in, and then the first thing that went out were the knees, right? Always.
Yeah.
And then you patched up the knees, right?
Yeah.
And then it wasn't a fashion statement. It was just like, okay, my mom would patch up the knees so they last, okay?
Because they were expensive.
And those patches came off. So what she did was she cut them off as shorts. And then at first at shorts, they stunk because it was like that perfectly cut thing. And you wanted those little white stringly
fringe
to come out. Yeah. So the first year they stunk. But then the second year, it was really cool because you look like a cool kid. That white stuff coming down. That was great.
Right.
And that was the life of a Levi. Now we just throw them away.
Now you just
donate them.
And again, that's why so why should Google or the NBA or Hollywood or Levi's or any of these they don't care about our complaints. They're not interested in serving the customer. And that's what, like, again, with artificial intelligence and everything, artificial intelligence doesn't benefit me. It doesn't benefit me at all. It benefits the person or the group that developed it.
Yeah, my wife was trying to cancel a check yesterday, right?
Yeah.
And then in the middle, she changed her mind. So she was trying to tell the AI. I told her she has trouble saying AI, so I just told her, say computer, right? Mm-hmm. So she's trying to tell the computer, stop, don't, stop. And it said, thank you, your check is canceled. I was like, no. So now she has to go down today to the local place, if we can find one open,
Right.
and go down and say, hey, listen, the AI kept trying to cancel my check because it was for an $8 check, and they want to charge us a $25 cancellation fee.
Right.
And it's like, you're completely insane. You're crazy.
Right.
You know, I don't know.
Right.
It's the AI stuff, and I'm into it.
In the old days, my son is funny because he hates depositing checks with his phone, and so he does all of his banking in person. Like he's like a throwback, because he finds, even though it's more inconvenient, it's easier because he understands what's being done. And if he has a question, there's a person sitting right in front of him that can explain it to him. But it doesn't work that way with your fucking phone. It's just,
you can't yell at your phone.
Yeah, because there's always going to be some extra problem that you're having.
Yeah, and also with this COVID thing, everybody says, working at home, it makes us more efficient. But why is it every time I call customer service, it's like, I'm sorry, we have unusual wait times because of COVID. It's like, well, I thought you guys are more efficient working from home. Now you're telling me I have extra wait times. So talking to someone is like ridiculous, the amount of time.
Right. I've been saying that since I got into this back in the 80s, and you got it back into the 80s. Like, I thought computers were supposed to make everything great. Why doesn't the Registry of Motor Vehicles talk to the Department of Parking Tickets? Why is it why can't I go to the RMV if I have outstanding parking tickets? What they make me do is go to each town, and pay off my tickets at the town hall before I can why can't I just go to the registry and go, yeah, can I pay off all those tickets here? Oh, yeah, sure. We have computers. They can do it, but they don't.
Well, at the registry, they won't even bend to the next aisle and go grab a form for you. You have to go line up in the line again.
Yeah.
So, you can't do the crazy stuff like optimization. That'd be insane.
I know. But again, why are we still, dealing with that now? I could see if it was like that back in the late 80s, early 90s.
Because of the government swamp. We all know why.
It is.
It's ridiculous.
And this is what people were. This is why I liked a guy like Trump coming in. I was never a Trump fan during my life, but he's always been a part of my life. In my adult life, I've known about him literally my whole adult life. Yeah. But I just like that finally we had an outsider. Yeah. And was he Rodney Dangerfield? Yeah, he was Rodney Dangerfield. But Rodney Dangerfield, in the back to school thing, he knew what he was talking about.
And he got stuff done.
So, but now what do we have now? Just another guy, corrupt guy that got rich off of the taxpayer, who produced nothing in his life. Joe Biden, and has done this crap for 48 years.
China money and the Ukrainian money.
Yeah.
Everything they told Trump he did, we have proof that the Bidens did.
Oh, of course, yeah. But again, the news media or Twitter will put that thing. This is in dispute. What is it, like 24 of 25 of Trump's last tweets have had that dispute thing? I think you should look at it as a badge of honor.
Yeah,
but when they came out and said that Trump was a Russian spy, nobody in Silicon Valley put that dispute on.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Hey, I got to run upstairs.
Later.
I'll talk to you a bit.
Bye.